Are you a real property investor and you have so many properties that you forget how many you have and where they're at? It happens. My name is Michelangelo Mortellaro, founder of Mortellaro Law. Here at Mortellaro Law, we've been serving the state of Florida for 18 years in the areas of estate planning, asset protection, and elder law. Part of our asset protection practice focuses on real property investors. Every week I have conversations with people that may have their first property, or maybe they don't even have their first property yet, and they're in the process of acquiring a property. Side note, that's a great opportunity and a great time to speak with an asset protection attorney and an estate planner attorney if you can't find both of them in the same attorney, because acquiring the property, you only have one shot at acquiring the property. And if you want to do it anonymously, meaning that your name is not on the public record forever tied to that property, you need to have a structure set up prior to even putting in an offer on the property in many cases. If not, you'll have to assign the offer to your newly created entity. But in either event, you want to close in the name of your anonymous and asset protection oriented entity. But that being said, I'll give you a little story of a couple that I just talked to yesterday. They actually found us on Instagram through social media. Husband and wife, and when they got started, they said we have about 7 or 8 properties, which I kind of giggled at because it sounds like me in cars. I sometimes don't know how many I have, but I digress. So they didn't know how many properties they had exactly, so we started going through them. And then they just had a hodgepodge. They had some properties that were in husband's name. They had their homestead, which was only in wife's name. And then they had a bunch of other properties that were either jointly owned or some were in LLCs. And then some of the LLCs, there was only one property in the LLC, which I like. And then some, there were more than one property in the LLC. Not my favorite, but better than nothing. So as we were talking, it was amazing. They just kept remembering other properties. And even after 45 minutes of gathering their assets and trying to figure out, what they own and how is it owned, after 45 minutes, they're like, oh yeah, we have 3 vacant properties in this one county in Florida, and then we have 5 vacant properties in another county. We just didn't think of those. So there's a couple of points here. One is make sure that you stay organized. It's wonderful to be able to afford to just go out and buy a bunch of properties over time and have a nice holding of a real estate portfolio. But forgetting how many properties you have can be a little problematic, not only during your life, but now let's fast forward to when you pass away and you have whether a family member or even a professional fiduciary administering your estate, whether it's through probate, through a will, through a trust. If there isn't a concise list of your assets, it is going to be very difficult for the person trying to clean up your estate to know what you own and how you own it and how it needs to be distributed to your beneficiaries. So part of our system, and you don't need to hire us to do it, you could actually do this yourself, is just create a list of your, especially real property assets for people that are serial entrepreneurs and have a lot of businesses under their name. Do the same for your businesses. And you can just diagram it out of, we own this property at this address, and it's either owned individually, jointly, or in a land trust, which is my favorite, or in an LLC. And is there a holding company structure? We often recommend Wyoming holding companies to hold all of your businesses and rental property, whether they be in land trust or in LLCs. So having a visual diagram goes a long way for you keeping tabs on what you own. And when you add another property, you just drop it down to the end of the list. And whether it's draw a little arrow to where it's connected to, or just jot down where it is and how it's owned. That would be very helpful. If you miss that piece of the equation, you're going to create a nightmare for the administrator of your estate, and things may get left out because if your personal representative, let's say these properties have to go through probate, which is a terrible idea, you should avoid that. But if you end up in probate and your personal representative or executor has a list of all the properties they think you own, and you get it through probate, and you pay all the fees and the cost in the 6 to 12 months, only a few months later for something to pop up when you get a tax notice and go, oh, I didn't know they owned more property. Well, now you're back to the attorney and you're reopening probate and you're starting the process all over again. It is horribly inefficient for you during life and for whoever is trying to clean up your estate at the time of your death. So don't need a lawyer for this piece, but I love to educate and give people good advice, even when it doesn't make me money. And that is keep it organized, not only with your real property, your bank accounts, your life insurance policies, annuities, anything, prepaid funeral. Just have a list. I've heard several creative names throughout the years. I've heard the dirt nap list. I've heard the read this when I die folder. However you want to name it, you can get creative, but you get my point. Make sure that someone knows where it is when the time comes, and make sure that you keep it up to date. It's really convenient and efficient when the time comes that your successor trustee or your personal representative or executor opens that little folder and says, okay, I know where every one of their bank accounts, investment accounts, retirement accounts, real property, businesses, LLCs, land trusts. I know where everything is, and I know what owns what. And now my job is much easier in trying to figure out how to get it from point A when you pass away to your beneficiaries, which is point B. So do yourself a favor, stay organized. If you have any questions, as always, reach out to us. We're happy to create those anonymous and asset protected structures for you. We can often restructure your assets in a way that may be tax advantaged, may be asset protection advantaged, may become anonymous where they weren't anonymous. So if you ever have a question, our consultations are free. Feel free to follow us. If you like this content, feel free to hit the thumbs up button and send it off to somebody else who also may be a business owner, real property investor. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.